Graniola. This is the Graniola channel, and I'd like to tell you a folk tale. Folk tales are simple stories that have been told and retold, passed down by word of mouth from generation to generation. They unify people. This story is called Scissors.
Often when you listen to a folk tale, you'll know where it comes from. At the end of this story, I'll tell you what part of the world it started in.
You probably already know that sometimes people who look quite ordinary possess magical powers. Or another way of putting this is that things are not always what they seem. In a very large city, there was a crippled old woman who lived alone in a broken old shack right next to an amazingly opulent apartment building. This woman was just as she appeared to be. Although she had very little, she was content with her life. She usually kept to herself and always had a gentle smile on her face. The part of the city that she lived in was the section that was lined with the most important luxury stores in that country, and so the streets were packed with elegantly dressed people. One afternoon, the old woman spotted a man who was just as ancient as she was and looked just as poorly dressed, walking down the sidewalk, and because she always felt hungry herself, she thought he might like something to eat, so she offered him a slice of bread. If you were paying attention at the beginning of this story, you might have guessed that the ragged old man had magical powers. He thanked her for the bread and added, "Tomorrow, from the time that you wake up until the moment the sun sets, whatever task you begin will continue effortlessly and happily." Just at that moment, by chance, a rich and greedy woman was leaving a nearby fancy building on her way to stock up on some costume jewelry. When she overheard these words, she quickly retraced her steps, returning home both to tell her husband what she had heard and also to make a ham and cheese sandwich for the ragged man. She asked her husband to take all of their gold coins out of the safe and to stack them on the table so that she could start piling them up the next morning. Her plan being that this way the pile would continue to grow throughout the following day. She couldn't fall asleep that night because she was so enervated and was planning the changes she would make after she was in possession of what she was imagining would be an enormous pile of gold. To calm her nerves during the long night, she began cutting apart her expensive designer dresses and making them into pouches which she planned to fill with the hundreds of gold coins which she imagined would be created for her effortlessly and happily the next day. She was so overly excited that she wasn't aware of the moment when the sun crept above the horizon, and so it turned out that there was no effortless nor happy piling up of gold coins, but the scissors kept cutting effortlessly and happily during the entire day. And after her last garment was in shreds, and there were no more pretty dresses to destroy, it headed toward her husband's to cut the shirt off his back. But just before contact was made, the sun set and he was safe. This is a tale that is told in Belgium.